All right. What's up, you dirtbags? My name is Luke Egebraten. We just wrapped up this episode with James Doyle. We're going to switch things up a little bit. So I'm going to do a little overview before the episode launches. So we just had James on as his third time on the podcast, and that's what you guys are going to hear coming up. James Doyle, owner of Innovative Lawn and Landscape, just an absolute hammer. He is the man. You guys have heard him before. He was actually episode number 7, diving into the business struggles, and episode number 21, which was no handouts. It's our number 5 and our number 6 most listened to episodes in Dirtbags history. We have 2,168 downloads on the diving into the business struggles, and then 2,114 on the no handouts, and those climb every single day. So super excited. James is a fan favorite of your guys's. He brings years and years of business knowledge, but what I love most about him, and you'll hear in this episode, is he is so transparent. He'll tell you exactly what's on his mind. He'll tell you exactly how he's feeling, what the decisions he made were like. And also, if he's feeling the stress, he'll tell you about it. If he's feeling excited about something, if he's feeling nervous about something, he'll let you know. So he is about as realistic as it gets when it comes to talking about business. He's a great, great friend of mine. He is a client of Phaser. He's been working with us since August of 2022. We built his website a long time ago, and it's taken many iterations since then. And our team loves working with him. And Crystal, of course, huge shout out to Crystal in the office. And we're just so excited to bring you this episode. And I think it comes together so perfectly. As I was looking at what to title this episode, it's very clear, and you'll hear this at the beginning, in the middle, and towards the end. And I didn't plan for this, but grow at the speed of people. And it means a bunch of different things, but I think it'll make sense if you guys get all the way through. I believe we clocked in a little over an hour for this episode. James is always one where I could talk to him for 3 hours. So we are so excited to give you this episode. And we're going to do our ad reads a little bit different as well, as our podcast is growing. And we want to make sure that your guys' listenership and the experience is without a hitch. And so as you guys are listening, you'll hear from our sponsors. And as you guys know too, we can't do it without these sponsors. So I really appreciate you guys for reaching out to them, for engaging with them on Instagram and social media, and also for using their services. The show doesn't happen without them, and they're in it for the long haul with us. So, but we're not going to do it all at once at the beginning here. We're going to change that up. We're going to kind of sprinkle them in throughout the episode. You'll probably hear, that was a little bit of a squeak, sorry. You'll probably hear a little jingle or a little noise that'll tell you that you're going to hear from one of our sponsors. All I ask is that, you listen through it, you hear me out. I'm going to record them organic every single episode. So it's not going to be a pre-recorded ad read. And that's just, I want to keep it real with you guys and with our sponsors, and also make sure that they're getting the most value possible. So when it comes to us and the show, this is a free show. You guys know that. It's a free podcast. The way you can help me and the whole Dirtbags community and the Dirtbags podcast out is if you leave us a review. So if you're listening on Apple Podcasts or Spotify, there's a little spot where you can leave a 5-star review. That would help a ton. We're approaching 100 reviews, and Spotify and Apple is really starting to reward us and showing our show to a lot of people who have never heard of us. You can also follow the show, so you get notifications every single time we drop an episode. As you guys know, we do one episode about every 2 weeks, and we love to kind of factor in some bonus episodes. So that'll just keep you up to date whenever we do drop any new episodes there. So, and of course, on our YouTube channel, go subscribe there and you can watch the videos. We've been putting in a lot of time and a lot of effort into shorts as well. So TikTok, YouTube shorts, Instagram reels, just to give you guys some more valuable content there. James will talk about it here, but I want to plug his YouTube channel, Innovative Lawn and Landscape. This Dirtbags episode will actually be on his YouTube channel as well. So it'll be really cool to see for us to get some of his audience viewers, and then vice versa as well. We'll give him some viewership as well. So go subscribe to his channel, Innovative Lawn and Landscape on YouTube. And then also, if you haven't already, subscribe to all the Dirtbags channels. With that, I'm so excited to dive into this episode. We've got episode number 95. Get ready for episode 100 coming quick. But this is episode number 95 with James Doyle. Grow at the speed of people. All right, what's up, your dirt bags? I'm so excited to be back in studio. We've got a big episode. This is episode number 95, and a familiar dirt bag is back on the show. This is dirt bag number 7. He has episode number 7, which was diving into the business struggles. And then episode number 21, no handouts. If you haven't figured it out yet, this is our guy, James Doyle, Mr. Innovative, owner of Innovative Lawn and Landscape out of Connecticut. So excited to welcome on recurring dirtbag, James Doyle. How are you doing, brother?
What's up, Luke? How you doing, man? Great to be back.
Dude, it's crazy. We were just talking about this. February 3rd, 2023 was the last time we recorded a podcast together.
Yeah, 2 years. It goes by quick.
Yeah, I was listening to it on my way home here, and Riley had just been born. And so a lot has changed since then. I believe, when was Riley born again?
Yeah, September of 22. So he's about 4 or 5 months old at that point. Yeah.
Yep. And so fast forward to today, we're in 2025, 3 little kids running around. And congratulations to you, Rhett and Rowan. So you had twins, I believe, was that in October 24?
Yep. October. Yeah. So,
and then family of 5.
Yep. So
how has that been? I know, obviously, I like to say I get a third row seat, like with your growth and your journey, because we've been working together since 2022. But how has it been since October? Was it different having twins plus having a young toddler, or what was that like?
Yeah, so I mean, there's a little difference. Obviously, I think the biggest change and the difference positively was like we knew what we were in for. Just on like the basics of like, the baby care 101, I like to call it. We kind of already. I think we were well set up for going into that meeting, being that we already went through it once with Riley, all the beginning stages, and not, Googling everything. And is this okay? Like, is it all right if he cries for more than 65 seconds? Like all those like first parent, issues that you go through, just wondering if you're doing the right thing. So we kind of went through all that. So I think it was a little bit easier. And we had like the occasional, like, oh, you guys are going to be so overwhelmed and it's going to be crazy. And it's like, yeah, it's overwhelming. Some days Colleen handles it great. I think just being like that, we went to that base camp for, basic training of like the first the first baby who's now a toddler. So like we were brushed into it. So it's, it's good, but I mean, every day's a new learning curve. So it's good.
Absolutely. And I always like to think of it this way, because Olivia and I don't have kids yet, but we'd like to someday. And it's pretty nerve wracking, but at the same time, you think like we were all babies at one point and our parents were babies. And so it's not a new thing. And I mean, it may not feel like it, but when you look back, it probably helps with business and managing and multitasking and pushing yourself. Ideally you'd have more time to work on the business, but that's life. Like you're never going to have enough time. And you've done.
Yeah, you gotta make time. You gotta prioritize. And, that's one thing. We'll dive into it a little later. It's just, it's one thing that's definitely helped, it's just learning how to prioritize time and time management and delegation, things like that.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's actually a perfect time to bring this up. So in the last episode back in 2023, you made a comment and you literally said, because you've been big on consistency, over the years of building Innovative, that was one of your big words, but you said one word you would put over consistency for the next few years would be delegate. So how has the last few years looked, since you said it in 2023, when it comes to delegation as a business owner?
Yeah, I mean, and to be honest, I haven't really even thought about it until, probably recently, like the last 6 months.
Yeah.
Journeys through 75 hard and stuff have really brought out delegation and time management and, things that I've committed to doing myself, both personally and professionally. So like the delegation side of it kind of really comes into play, where it's like, I may not be able to run every machine or set every grade for every patio or walkway or, whatever we're doing for that scope of work for a job. So I've had to learn to delegate those things. And it's hard, man. Like it's not easy. Like I literally want to touch every shovel and run every skid steer and drive every truck to bring every load of dirt and process gravel to every job. Like it's just impossible, and it's hard. And, I'm so, shout out to our like guys, I like kind of jump around in a circle here. Like I've heard people say we grow at the speed of cash, right? Like we grow at the speed of people. That's something that I've really learned. We've really grown at the speed of good people on our team, and we could be 3 times the size that we are, but like we're shout out to our team. I mean, we're working on a lot of things, and super happy with everybody's growth. Everybody's obviously, we all have spaces that we need to learn on, but in terms of like the delegation, just everybody's really taken a good understanding to like, hey, like, I've got some family stuff, and I've heard guys make comments to me like, hey, you got a family that you're growing, and, I've already been there. I have, my kids are growing up a little bit now. It's your turn, James. Like, my guy is speaking to me like that. So it's, it's good to just understand and see the respect coming from them. And like, they understand what I'm going through with like, hey, I got to go home and help Colleen, maybe an hour early today or whatever, not just with one, but now the 3. So it's, the whole delegation side of thing is really, it's been huge the last couple of years. I've really, I'm kind of proud of myself for, being able to kind of let the reins go. It's hard, you want to, when you build something from nothing and, you're so worried about losing it, like one wrong thing, like you could lose everything, so it's like, you want to do everything yourself, but it's just like, you have to let people make mistakes. And, I make mistakes every single day with trying to prep these guys. And it's like, I'm doing the best that I can to like just have everything presented so that people can, accurately do their jobs and do it without stress and do it without a super, heavy amount of questions on the job, so, but it's been good overall, it's been really good. There's definitely things we can improve on, just like everything, you're always getting better every day. So, but.
Yeah. And it's been really cool from my perspective. And, you and I have been friends for quite a while now and worked together for quite a while, but it's like our conversations have changed quite a bit with each other, where it's less of like talking Google Analytics and less about moving things around here and there, but more about leadership and ownership and mindset and higher level personal things. And so I think that's been really cool. Like we've both grown a ton in our businesses, but also our team, no surprise, has stepped up to the challenge of just like, wow, they're performing way better than we ever could on our own.
Yeah. No, for sure. Yep.
Yeah.
Agreed.
And then, and a huge shout out to Colleen. Obviously she does so much with the kids and is that support and that foundation to have at home is so important, especially in entrepreneurship. I know huge shout out to her. And then also a huge shout out to Crystal in the office. I was there when she came in and helped take so much off of your plate. And now it's like, even her working with our team and then her taking some of that off your plate. And now you guys are looking to continue to expand and, get some off of her plate. And so it's just kind of that trickle down effect of like when their job becomes more and more important, then you need continuing to bring people in and build that up.
Yeah, no, 100%.
So obviously you mentioned it, 75 hard mindset. You've been pretty open with it as well on, social media but I'm where I'd like to start actually is your relationship with alcohol, if you don't mind. I think you've been, socially off of alcohol for a little over a year, I believe. But talk to me a little bit about that. How has your relationship with alcohol changed? And then, obviously we can dive into a little bit of, your 75 hard journey and what got you into that.
Yeah. No. So it's, I never had a problem with drinking at all. It's almost like, it's like embarrassing. I don't find it, maybe embarrassing is not the right word, but it's almost like kind of try to hold it back a little bit from like telling people like, oh, I've been sober. Cause I feel like when you hear like, oh, that guy's sober, like he had a huge drinking problem, right? And like, I didn't have a drinking problem. To be honest with you, I didn't even really like drinking until I was like 21, 22, like because I didn't really find something that I enjoyed drinking. I'm not like a big craft beer guy. To be honest with you, I don't drink beer at all. I don't like beer at all. You know, I messed around with like different like shots of tequila and stuff like whatever growing up. And, you know, I finally found like rum and Coke was like my thing, you know, or vodka lemonades. Like those were really the only thing I ever liked to drink, you know, and it's, I would just socially drink on the weekends, you know, like not every weekend, once, twice a month, you know, and over the last, like, I would say 2 to 3 years, maybe like 2020 to like, you know, 2023, 2024, it was more like, all right, you know, we'll drink every weekend, you know, on Saturday night, the buddies, you know, guys will come over, like we're the big entertainers in our friend group. Like we'll either, you know, have everybody over here, like hang out, whatever, have a fire, cook food on the grill. And like, so it was like, it would be like the Friday, Saturday night thing. And then like, I noticed it was like, hey, you know what, I'd have like a vodka lemonade on a Wednesday night, you know? And it was like, so it was like twice a week, you know, and it wasn't anything more than that. But it just got to the point where I was like, do I really need to do this? Like, there's nothing wrong with it, but I just kind of, I don't know. Something made me, I was a part of, you know, and I still am, but, you know, I pulled my membership and I'm kind of just focusing on a lot of other things. I was a part of you know, an entrepreneur, you know, motivational, like, you know, just a group full of other business owners, you know, travel back and forth to the Carolinas. You know, I got a lot of value, you know, in speaking to a lot of high, influential and like-minded, you know, other business owners that were, you know, below me and far, far above me, in the same room. And, you know, I got learned a lot of things out of that room. And honestly, that's where I took away the alcohol thing from. You know, I was down there the day before my 30th birthday, and my coach, my business coach, we were talking and he goes, why don't you just try it, man? And it was the day before my 30th birthday party. And my wife was throwing a 30th birthday party for me here with all my friends, close family. We had a hibachi tent in the front yard with like 40 people, nice. Hibachi chef. Like, dude, rum and Coke was my jam, right? To the point where people were bringing me rum and Coke cakes, like cakes made out of Coca-Cola cans with Captain Morgan nippers on them, right? Because that was my signature drink at the wedding. Like, so I came home to that, right? And I was like, I'm not going to drink. So I sent my business coach a message, and I was like, dude, check this out. I was like, how am I going to pull this off? He goes, now is your ultimate test. He goes, see if you're committed to doing this. So I was like, I'm going to start with 30 days. Like, I'll try it, right? And I did that. Made it through, no problem. Sorry, this is like a crazy long answer, but I kind of just want to throw it out there because I've never really honestly talked about it, and I wasn't expecting you to ask about it. So I did it for 30 days. I went back to the Q2 quarterly event in South Carolina in May. Shared on stage in front of tons and tons of other business owners. So I was super, super proud of myself that I went 30 days because it was a mental thing for me. It wasn't like a craving for alcohol, like waiting for the package store or liquor store to open at 9 o'clock in the morning. It was just whatever. So I shared that I was sober, and everybody's like, yeah, keep going. And like, so I got into health and fitness at that same point in time because it was just like it was a trickle effect, you know? So I was sober for 30 days. I got into, you know, hey, I went to a group workout during that 3-day event down there in the Carolinas in May. I went to a group workout, dude, and it kicked my ass.
Yeah.
It kicked my ass, dude. Like, and like, I was so winded. I was so sore. I said, I will never do this again. I woke up at 4 a.m. the next day and I ran like 2 miles. I had no workout plan, had no real health or fitness goals. And I've always been a pretty lean dude, and I'm physically active, like, you know, with work. And so I was like, I'm gonna keep going with this. Met my gym partner who, you know, is another landscape guy up here. He saw that I was, you know, keeping going with it a couple days after. He goes, hey, come to the gym with me. And I haven't missed a day since. You know, a couple different 75 hard, you know, things. But I came back from there, and he's like, yeah, come in with me. And he kind of really helped push me through it. And, you know, we work out together every day, 4 a.m. every single day. I've probably missed maybe 10 or 15 days over the last year, just basically for traveling. I wasn't like there, but I still worked out. I just wasn't at that same gym. I've basically never missed a day since then. We'll get into that whole 75 hard thing, but I've wrapped, I made it like a month into the fitness journey into like June, and he was finishing 75 hard. He goes, "You want to do it with me?" I was like, "Well, I got the routine down. I'm not drinking."
Yeah.
So I was like, I just got to add in the diet and the other few things. I was like, yeah, let's try it. And successfully, true to myself, actually successfully completed it, which is very tough because 5% of people that actually do it complete it truthfully to themselves. You're only going to lie to yourself. Like, nobody's going to know if you actually fully did every single thing. And it's not like, Andy Frisella talks about it. It's not a challenge, right? It's a program. Yeah. Like it's an improvement program. There's a couple different other things to call it, but it just, dude, I'm so dialed in when I'm on it, not with just all aspects. I care about being a better, father, a better business owner, a better husband. I care about my health. I care about being very, very intentional with clients and like getting back to them and like really delivering on the customer service and the experience from the phone call to the initial consultation to they have their estimate within 15 minutes as long as we have all their materials loaded in, our software. So like it's made me very, very intentional with all aspects of business and life. And that's kind of why I've stuck with it. We just finished the second one together. Kind of we're jumping into this whole thing, but we'll just keep going with it. We just finished, 75 hard together. You jumped in with us and we did, my second round. We started in February, started like a few weeks early when we planned to do it. We were just like crazy one day on a Wednesday. We're like, hey, we're going to start tomorrow. And we ran it, and I jumped right into phase one. I'm on day 18 of phase one, which is 75 hard plus like 3 or 4 other extra tasks. So it's tough, man. I'm shot. I'm tired.
Yeah.
I'm just pushing through it, persevering. It's tough, but I'm very happy, super thankful, very grateful that, I made that first decision to like stop drinking. And I just, like I said, to reiterate, like I never had a problem with drinking, and I wasn't like never missed a day of work, never went in hungover, like nothing like that. I was like, I don't need to do this, And my wife, she's been sober. About 5 months longer than me. Cause she obviously stopped drinking. She's a very responsible, parent when it comes to pregnancy. She doesn't smoke. She doesn't drink.
That's good.
And so she stopped completely too, which is, and I told her, I was like, dude, you don't have to do this because of me. And she's like, nah. Like, I don't need it.
Yeah.
So, just way clearer mindset.
I feel like because I, like you mentioned, did 75 hard with you guys as well. And that was my second time doing it. Every time I do it, it's like the fog that was there is easier to see through. And it doesn't mean the fog is gone. It doesn't mean it's super easy or business is easy or life. But I tell you what, like you wake up and you can make clear decisions and you feel better. And for me, one of the big things, because I'm not a heavy drinker either, but the gym has helped me a ton. And just being in there, and for me, I struggle with accountability in the gym. And so I just hired a trainer. I budgeted for it. I actually worked it through the business where I would pay myself, but that would go to the trainer. And man, just like having somebody like really kick my ass and tell me what to do for an hour straight after I was already warmed up, like you're going to see results. And that was only twice a week. And so you had to figure out other workouts throughout the week, but it's been so cool too, to see, we call it like a brag channel with our team, but to see like you hitting PRs, to see me hitting PRs, but to be able to tell somebody that without feeling like you're bragging in a negative way, but to feel good about like, hey, I just put up.
Yeah. On a personal growth, and the same goes for business, you have those core inner circles that you guys talk about business, and you feel like you can tell somebody when you had a killer month or a killer week or whatever, and you don't feel like an asshole,
Yeah, absolutely.
Same thing with the personal fitness. Yeah, no, totally good. I mean, I find myself talking about it in front of some of the guys in the shop or whatever, and they don't have interest in it, and that's fine. You know what I mean? But I'm just like, all right, well, they don't get it. They don't understand it because they haven't done it. And that's fine, because I used to have that same mindset and be like, what's this guy talking about? Like, whatever,
All right, you dirtbags. I want to take 30 seconds of your time real quick. Let's talk insurance. Yeah, I know, not the sexiest topic, but stick with me because this is important. If you run an excavation, grading, landscaping, or any kind of dirt moving business, you know the right insurance can make or break you, and especially having the right person in your corner that you can trust. And that's where our guy, Charlie Huff, comes in. Charlie isn't just some random insurance guy wearing a suit and tie. He sometimes does, but so do I. He's one of us. He grew up in a shop, worked in the trades, and now he's dedicated his career to protecting dirt world companies like yours. His team is full service, fast, and relentless when it comes to getting you the best coverage at the best price. They flip over every rock, negotiate hard with multiple carriers, not just one, that's big, and make sure you're not just covered, but covered right. And the best part, he makes it easy. Need a COI? Done. Adding or removing equipment? Handled. Got an audit coming up? No sweat. They take the insurance headaches off your plate so you can get back to running your business. If you want to get in touch with Charlie, he's super easy to get a hold of. Feel free to text or call him. His number is 385 268 9939. If you can't get a hold of him, let me know. You can shoot me a DM on Instagram. You can shoot me a text at 218 234 7345, and I'll make sure he gets back to you there. So, business is built better in community. Charlie, when I think of construction insurance, is our guy. He's your guy. So go give him a shout today. 385 268 9939. Let's get back to the episode. Yeah. So and I want to bring up, you were just at a 10X growth conference maybe a couple months ago, but I want to bring that up here because one of our episodes we just launched with Joe you ran was 10X is easier than 2X, the 10X mindset. So I'm curious from your perspective. I don't know much about like the 10X world, but I saw you were at the 10X growth conference in Vegas. Tell me more about that. Like, what was it like? And has that helped? Has that changed you? Like what, anything from that?
Yeah, so honestly, I actually got invited by another company. They had bought like a suite in the arena.
Sure.
They brought a lot of their sales team. I'm friends with the two brothers that are the owners. They had an underground infrastructure restoration company, meaning they do a lot of like cured in place pipelining. So like they'll blow in new drain pipes with inside old steel corrugated rotted out pipes, basically excavationless drainage work, things like that. A lot of sewer and stormwater work, super, super lucrative and very niche services.
Yeah.
And they've scaled their business from, a couple million from like where their dad was, who's since, not with the company, and these two brothers are doing it on their own and they're kicking ass. I mean, and they're tens of millions of dollars. I mean, wow. through that, and again, everybody's got their own different beliefs and programs and coaching and different things like that. And yeah, I mean, there's tons of people out there that are trying to sell you something, right? Like I got approached by 100 people, each day to try to buy something, right? Like that's their job. But overall, at the end of the day, I mean, I got a lot of value out of the speakers that were there. I mean, that's why I went. There's Donald Trump's been there. Eric Trump, his son, was there. He was one of the first speakers on day one. I mean, it was 3 days of just jam-packed, very, very high level, intentional entrepreneur, personal business growth speeches all day long with just very, very high level people. I mean, the Secret Service came in and like cleared like the entire place before they brought Eric Trump in. Like it was fucking wild, so like they had Trump's, forget what she is. I don't know. His legal counsel, Elena Haba, is her name. She's like a pit bull of a lawyer.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Yeah. Like crazy. Like she will sick you, and like very, very, very well educated woman. Felt Love very, it. I felt very intimidated just listening from like the nosebleed seats. Right. And, just cool stuff like that. Just listen to different perspectives of things going on in the world. Martha Stewart was there. You want to talk about a marketing professional? She marketed her restaurant that was in town 17 times during her speech. Yeah. Like crazy, dude. Like, and that's what we talked about. Like, how intentional and how important and direct is marketing in business, and like what's first, marketing, sales, like so it's things like that that were just so imperative to just listen to and see how people have grown these multi 7 and 8 figure businesses that were taken public, on Wall Street, just crazy stuff. Just people like me and you that had big visions, that got in the rooms with the right people. The CEO of Jimmy John's, 30 years of, franchising sandwich shops. He's got a $700 million boat or some shit like that. Cruising in Italy, took his private jet there to speak that day. Like, just crazy 30 years of grinding, dude, Man. But it was just like, it was very intentional. Like, and I listened to, his speech was probably one of the most ones that hit me hard, like totally different level of like where we are, right? Like a small landscape company, this guy's national food chain across the country. But like the one thing that was very comparative was his time with his kids, and he talked about how like he's reconnected with his kids, and he spent the first 15 years of their life, like just on the road, and he's had to rebuild his relationship, and it really made me think about like the time that I'm not here, and again, very grateful for Colleen and what she does, on the inside of the doors here. Like, it just made me think like how, just in business, like who sacrifices, right? And like what really has to be sacrificed to achieve what your goals are, both personally and professionally. And it was like, just listening to that, it was crazy, but it was cool. I'm not a part of that 10X program or anything like that. I specifically got invited by them. They paid for our, basically everything other than like our, airfare and hotel and stuff. Super grateful for that friendship. Those guys are very, very next level leaders, great company culture. We've done a bunch of work with them. They've done a lot of drainage, inspections and stuff for us, and some pipelining jobs actually in some of our accounts. Great guys. We're actually working for one of the brothers at his house doing a big farm restoration job. So that was kind of how it all came about. He's like, hey, you want to go to a conference next week in Vegas? I was like, sure.
Done.
So it was fun though. It was cool, and you just see all different types of people. There was a kid that spoke in the crowd that they asked him how he was doing, and he's 30 years old, took his solar company and sold it for $100 million at 30 years old.
Wow.
Crazy.
Wow. And it's just the perspective you get, because it's not all revenue and profit. Like you said, probably what hit you most is the time with your kids, your personal goals. And
I definitely took away stuff, it was good. Yeah.
I was listening to a podcast the other day, and I think this is actually pretty relevant to what we're talking about is, and this is the extreme ownership mindset, I would say, but, as the owner, you are the problem, and as the owner, you are the solution. And I thought that was, convicting, I would say, but also just, pretty wise that a lot of times when you look at the issues, like it starts with the ownership, and that's just taking extreme ownership. But then you are the solution. You can make things happen, and you can lead from the front, but lead with your team and make the decisions that are going to help your team members, your company, your clients. But it starts with you, and then it goes down from there. And it doesn't, there's no hierarchy. There's no ladder. It's just, it has to start with the owner.
Yeah, no, 100%. I totally agree. And, I found myself to be the, going back to delegation, like I found myself to be the bottleneck in so many different situations and scenarios where I just have to just step aside. And I almost feel like, I'm belittling some of the guys and their capabilities of not trusting them. And so I kind of put myself in their shoes, and I'm like, but at the same point in time, I battle that kind of self-destructing analogy of am I not giving them enough, right? To where I feel like it's almost like guilt, and that imposter syndrome of I shouldn't be able to go do that because I should be there helping them. But then it's that flip side of well, am I hounding them to the point where they are pissed off that I'm looking over their shoulder the whole time? So it's there's that fine line of what makes the most sense and what's, and then it just goes back to delegation, just letting them do what, they're on board to do, and what they're here to do as a part of the team to contribute to the mission,
Yeah, absolutely. And I think too, as the owner, really getting back to, why you started for one, but two, what you really love to do in the business and what you're really good at, and focus more on that, because the more you do other things that you're not great at, the more you can't do what you're great at and what you're going to provide the most value for. So if you love helping clients, or you love the office side of things, you love getting in the field and leading your team, like you just got to find what that is and work more towards that. And as you know, and as I know, like it doesn't ever happen overnight, and it's a very, very slow, gradual process. But I think just kind of one step at a time, getting
Yeah.
closer to that. And also too, there is no like end game and there's no start game. Like you're kind of always in business.
Right.
So you're always hopefully improving. Otherwise you're going the other way or staying
Yeah. No,
stagnant.
totally agree. Totally agree.
Yeah. So for everyone listening here, we got James Doyle on the podcast. Go give him a follow at Innovative Lawn and Landscape LLC or at Mr. Innovative. James, this is episode number 95. We got a big episode 100 coming up. And this is your third time on the show. So super cool. I love these recurring episodes because we get to almost compare to the last few years of what's changed and what's different. I'm curious from your side of things, now that we're in 2025, what does the next few years look like for Innovative? And I also, before you answer that, this will be on your YouTube channel, so I want to make sure I give a shout out there. If you're listening to this on the Dirtbag side of things, James has a YouTube channel. So James, if you want to plug that here, I want to make sure we send people that way as well.
Yeah. Just Innovative Lawn and Landscape LLC on YouTube. You'll see our channel on there. I think we're getting close to 500 subs now. Or something that we kind of had open that we never really put a lot of attention or efforts into over the last couple of years, and it was mainly just a space to dump a couple short videos, and we never really did anything with it. So had a lot of people tell me that we should do something with it. So we're trying it. So a lot of different types of content, some blog style stuff, and Q&A stuff. So just a couple different things just to see what check the insights, see what people are really liking, and so
it'll be fun too, like because for people listening, like we're recording this as a Dirtbags podcast, but James and I had talked before, and we're like, let's absolutely put this on the Innovative side too. And so it's just really the important thing is the content and the message and the value that we're trying to provide. And there's lots of different mediums that can go into. So excited to see that grow. And obviously you've been big on social media for the last few years, are a big advocate for it. And I know that's helped business. I know that's helped hiring. It's helped in a lot of facets. So I think the YouTube side of things will be a great asset as well. But so give me the next 3 years. What are we looking at for Innovative? Any big changes, any shifts? What are we looking at for business?
Yeah, I mean, I think we're going to kind of just stay on the path where we're at, same services. We're looking at a lot of bigger like commercial land, as a sub, working for some of these, kind of specialty, not developers, but different streetscape stuff, just general contractors that are doing a lot of, larger scale excavation that need, some guys, good boots on the ground, a good sub to do some of the landscape restoration, hydro seeding, things like that we can kind of just develop a rapport with and, get our feet in the door, help them. It's not really my go-to model for business. I don't really like having to do 175 submittals to get a job, to get approved, to work underneath somebody else, because I don't have anybody else in the office to do that stuff. So it kind of all lies on me. And it's just, I'm still on the customer relations side of our residential project and maintenance side of the business, and, direct, me to customer on the commercial side as well. So it's like, it's just a lot of efforts. I think if we had a full-time sales guy or operations guy to do kind of that stuff, kind of run one side of it, I think that would help. But, we're just not there yet. I think we'll get there. Whether that's me full-time running operations and we hire somebody to do sales, or vice versa, I stay fully on sales. And, I've gone back and forth on that with my business coach I was working with. And, the idea was really to get somebody in for operations to kind of do the clipboard. Hey, here's where we're at. Let's check status of job, check in with the customer, check materials for the next job, check progress, report back to Crystal, kind of help organize some of the sales board, leading up to CBYD's done, because we're doing a lot of small to medium sized project. There's a lot of logistics and a lot of volume moving around materials wise, cash flow wise. So it's like making sure all those things are bing, bang, boom, like in order is very imperative to the success of each job. And it's like, I'm doing all of that still, which is fine. But I'm also like find myself back to delegation, trying to do, hey, we need to get this job done quick. So James goes and jumps in a triaxle and hauls material, or James goes and moves a roll off can because we don't want to make that customer wait another day, a builder that we supply dumpsters to, or whatever the situation is. It seems to be quick and easy, but it takes time away from James on sales. And so we looked at the average number of closed sales from James on a per 25-hour a week basis. And it was multiple hundreds of thousands of dollars lost if it wasn't. Let me back up. If I went from 25 to 40 hours a week on sales based off of our average closed performed sales on a low month, like averaging on a low month, it was multiple hundreds of thousands of potential sales that we lose every month if I just add on those extra 15 hours of me being dedicated to sales.
And I wonder too, in your
about 90 hours a week that I'm still pulling, 25 is really 30 maybe is dedicated to sales and customer relations. And if I just put 40 of it to sales, like I could boost our revenue a couple $100,000 a month.
And so does your mind go to like, what if we take those hours and put that into somebody else's salary that can go do that, or vice versa, like you mentioned?
So we were looking at, we did the numbers out, like the numbers are there. Like it's very easy to swallow to just do that, but it's not as easy to find the person to do that, whether that's the sales guy or the operations guy. So I could just do, and my guys like working. I think they like working with me, knowing like, hey, James knows every aspect of the job. So like we could just go to him with a question. So like from the operations side of things, I think it's a little bit easier to have the rapport with me. But at the same point in time, like, I don't know if there'd be a threat if like there was somebody else like calling the shots. So I wouldn't want it to be confrontational. I think like the sales side of it would be better to hire so that I could work with somebody on the sales side. But like just finding that like key, like Rambo, like killer to like go out there, pit bull, whatever you want to call him, to like go out there and be like so enthusiastic, like genuinely enthusiastic and like customer relation based to really want to solve the problem for the customer. It's just hard to find. It's not impossible. I went to a 10X growth conference. There was 7,500 killers there, right? Like it's not impossible to find, but I guess it's just goes back to we grow at the speed of great people.
And I suppose to that point too, growing at the speed of great people, and also when you're hiring a salesperson, I think what you might run into, and we've seen this as well, is you hire a great salesperson, but deep down they're an entrepreneur, so they might leave. But and that's not a bad thing, but also it's like that can be the tricky thing when trying to hire a really, really great salesperson.
Yeah. They have the character traits of, being their own, being an entrepreneur. To find a really good entrepreneur is, I'd say it's probably 1 in 10 or 0.5 in 10. It's not impossible. I have friends and other colleagues and people I see on Instagram that are way further ahead, comparisons to Steve Joy, but they're just on their point in the path. They're 10, 11, $12 million, and they've been in the business the same amount of time. Maybe their markets are different. There's so many other variables. Like we're in an okay market, but we're not in like a huge newly potential developed market where there's like all these crazy landscape installs, and we're not in like a super high wealthy market either. People get by, but there's a lot of like higher middle class, blue collar working families that, weigh out the options of whether or not it's worth it to hire us or do it themselves because they're capable. They're not pulling $400,000 a year to where it's just like, I'll write the check and whoever gives me the best price and I like the best, I'll hire. That's not our business market here, So.
Yeah. And you and I were talking about that at one point too. And in your spot in Connecticut, like everything's already built out. In a lot of markets that we have clients in, it might be like in North Dakota or Montana or Arizona, even, where it's just like they're building for miles and miles and miles because it's flat.
West, man, like Indiana, Ohio, like it just some of those guys are pulling like unrealistic square foot prices, and some of these guys just do phenomenal work like in the hardscape and outdoor living space to the point where like they name their price and it's like it's well respected. Like they've built that legacy, they've built that name, they've built that job description where like people are calling, and that's great. It just it's not as common here. I'm not saying it's impossible because there are guys here that do it too. Maybe they've been around a little bit longer, but it's not as common here. So
yeah. I want to give a quick shout out before we dive into the next thing. And actually this will be a perfect segue into it. We were talking Snow Jobs podcast a little bit because one of your little ones had the shirt on, and is that the one that said keep pushing on the back?
Done pushing.
Or done pushing. Yeah, I love that shirt. But yeah, huge shout out to Jeremy and Steve. I try and give them a shout out, man. They're so good to me and so good to us in our community. But got to give a huge shout out to Storm Chasing, their series. It's all over YouTube. So if you're listening to the Dirtbags podcast right now and you haven't watched Storm Chasing, go on YouTube right now. Go check it out. It is incredible. I mean, the production value, everything, and
it's next level. It's Discovery Channel level. It's crazy.
Discovery Channel level, absolutely. And somebody was in the comments on episode 2. A huge shout out to Kyle for that episode. But somebody's in the comments, they're like, "This is better than 90% of stuff on Netflix right now," and I couldn't agree more. So, I wanted to transition a little bit into snow anyway, so I thought that'd be a perfect segue. Yeah. Huge shout out to those guys. But what is give me your thoughts on the snow industry. I know everyone we have on has different thoughts. People love it, they hate it, they're kind of in the middle. But I'm just curious to hear over the years.
I mean, your thoughts. It's just that it's a love-hate relationship, right? Sure. It's, and again, it goes back to our market share, like where we're at, where we're positioned. We're not like heavy farmland. We're not like heavy suburbs, and we're not massive city, right? So we're kind of like a mix of all of those. We're 5 minutes to the country. Like my house here, I'm 7 miles away from our shop, and that's kind of like a small city. It's like 60,000 people. You can get from one side to the other in 10 minutes, 15 minutes. And sometimes it depends on traffic. So it's I thought that I'd want to go like super crazy in the snow and like and I believe like, I've listened to, tons of different podcasts and tons of different guys, crazy numbers on the Snow Job podcast of all these different guys from different markets. And like, I've grown to love the industry, but I've also grown to like, it's grown to make me like resent my business a little bit when it comes to the snow, just for sheer fact of like, it's just such an underappreciated service. The way you get treated is just like, and again, I'll just be real with it, right? Like this is completely unscripted, unprompted. Like I love the equipment. That's what I love, right? Like I love the equipment side of things. Like that's what I grew up doing. And that's my passion is equipment operating. And like, I used to love going out and plowing in a truck and like just throwing sand. Like when we were still throwing sand, 10 years ago, 12 years ago, I used to love getting in a skid steer with like a 10-foot Fisher straight blade before any of these box blades, wing plows, and just like push snow. Like now that I'm in the business side of it, it's like, it's one of those things that like and that's the nature of it. But I think it's something tells me that it's like avoidable, and maybe that model is like going and subbing for somebody. I don't know. I mean, we do very well with snow. I like to say we have a lot of people that come in for snow because we're very, very heavy on sidewalk snow clearing just throughout our complexes, things like that you can't do equipment-based snow removal with. It's a lot of shoveling, a lot of stairs, really old infrastructure, 3-foot wide sidewalks. You can't use these, it's not a Fargo, North Dakota type deal. Like there's no 3000 series John Deere tractors with brooms doing sidewalks. We're lucky if we could fit an SSV, which is the narrowest sidewalk machine on the market, down some of these sidewalks without doing turf damage. So it's tough. So like there's a lot of challenges with that because the labor market doesn't matter what business or industry you're in, like labor shortage and people wanting to actually perform work at a high level is very rare. So that's been a challenge each year, finding guys to come in and like do the work the right way. Like I've had my 18-year-old nephew come in and walk behind certain guys, like doing sidewalks, helping to come in just for extra money. And he'll be like, I watched these guys walk right over a section of sidewalk that like didn't even get shoveled. So like he'd have to do it. So it's like, I don't know if it's just a care or, a care thing, or if it's like I don't know. I don't know what it is. So like that's kind of made me resent it a little bit. But I haven't given up on it. I think that we're kind of married to it because of the nature of the, year-round service
Yeah.
providing. But it's just I feel like it's a race to the bottom with a lot of things. And again, it's not everywhere. I think in our market, there's just no value of like, oh, I see you're investing in great equipment. Oh, I see you have really good guys. Oh, you offer your guys
Mhm.
health insurance and like good culture, and you're trying to like build up the internal things to employ really good people and have a really good team. Nobody sees any of that stuff. And I'm not
Right.
asking for a handout trophy or anything like that matter, but like it's just nobody cares about any of that stuff. They care about, well, do you think we're going to get any more snow? Should we really move the snow pile? And I'm like, well, I don't know. Every time our trucks are in there, like my guys, we're the ones that are getting, our asses chewed out by every single customer in your lot because there's nowhere to put the snow. We look like the bad guys,
Yeah.
and you're worried about $500. So it's like, and then I hear Jeremy, it's like, well, we don't even ask. We just go and move them and we bill them. That's what the expectation is. So, and they've grown that expectation. It's not like they're in a crazy different market. We have the same snow total accumulation average per year, roughly, and it fluctuates, but,
Hmm.
so the long-winded answer is I love snow. I love doing it. I love the equipment. It takes a toll on the equipment. It takes a toll on the guys. Certain people put their 110% in, and certain people just, they do 100%. And it's, sometimes that's not enough in snow. There's no excuses when it comes to snow. I remember Don Nelson talking about it in their
Yeah.
episode. It's like, it's a service that there's no excuses. It gets done. And when it's done, it's done. There's no, we got to come back tomorrow. Like the shit's got to get done. It's an emergency service. And that's where, like, to that point, some people just don't view it as an emergency service. They just view it as a cost and an inconvenience to them. And it's like, we're out here with $1 million worth of equipment to try to replenish that cost in 8 weeks of service.
Yeah.
It's tough. We're lucky if we get 8 weeks of inclement weather now, because like I feel like we're gonna start to be like the Carolinas here pretty soon. Like we worked until the end of December last year, so I don't know. It's I don't know where I see us going with snow. It's kind of a really, we've looked into some services that are kind of already in touch with things that we do on a year-round basis. We traveled last year. We did some
Yeah.
right-of-way mowing work, which was very well received by the guys. We loved it. It was there was some travel involved with it, but it worked out. So there's an opportunity for that. More year-round stuff. Maybe that's a route that we go. I don't know. We're exploring it. If it makes sense, if it makes dollars, it makes sense to me. That's kind of something I've always said. So we'll see how it goes. I really don't want to lose some of the other accounts year-round because we get out of snow. So it'd have to be a happy medium balance. But yeah, it's kind of where we're at right now. There's no major changes happening. Kind of just maintaining what we got. So
Yeah, and I think I like how you do that too, where you're maintaining it, you're keeping that good foundation, but you're not afraid to like continue to innovate and continue to try some new services, but not have it be 90% of what you're doing, because
right,
that would be considered high risk. But it's like, yeah, let's do a little traveling, let's do a little right of way, and let's, try something a little different in snow. Let's try something here. And then, yeah, you still just continue to adapt and innovate through the times, because
yeah,
your business is different every single year and it should always be growing. And even on like the marketing agency side, like our business is always changing, but that's like our duty is to stay on top of everything and make sure that we are not just stuck in our own ways and stuck in, oh yeah, it's this way or the highway, and making sure that we have our head above water and we know like, hey, we're always kind of pulling different levers. We're always innovating. We're
right.
always changing with the times.
Yeah, no, 100%. I totally agree, and it's comparable to what we're talking about.
Yeah. Let's stay on equipment for a little bit here. I believe, did you take delivery on the new 315 with the
Yeah,
steel wrist? When
yep,
what was that like? Cuz I know that must have been a couple months ago.
yeah. It was the end of March, So yeah, coming up on 2 months now, just about 2 months. So
What and maybe this could be good for, just walk me through your thought process on buying a piece of equipment for people listening. When you go with the 315 and you put the tilt rotator on it, what's your thought process there? Were you kind of in between different sizes, or why the 315?
yeah, so we were we kind of I impulse bought. I don't know if Crystal watches this stuff or listens to it. Maybe, maybe not. So I impulse bought a machine last year. We had a couple bigger clearing jobs, 5, 6, 7 acre jobs that we were doing on the clearing side, and we owned like all the civil work on it, a lot of dirt moving. So I impulse bought this Sany SY215.
Yeah.
I was gotta have a bigger machine. And I saw the 265. That was like a 60,000 pound machine. I was like, 1,000 hours, like good price, warranty on it. I was like, yeah, we're not going to use it every day. That was the first mistake that I put in my head. I convinced myself that I needed it. I'm a very good convincing myself and justifying a purchase if I think I need it. And for most part, every purchase that we make is really good. So this one, I will take complete ownership and accountability. It was a dumb purchase. Did we use it and did it work and did it make money? Yes. It sat a lot. It cost us money to low bed it around because we don't own a low bed yet. Yeah. One day we will. It just now is not the time and we didn't need it. So we did a couple house lots with it. We did a big project over the winter time with it. And that was really the only thing that it was being used for, was just like some clearing jobs, which is not what our primary focus is. It's just something like if we get a referral or a call for it, or it makes sense to be competitive and do that scope of work with like our track chipper and like do the excavation, dig a pond, do like something else in addition to like the clearing, like we'll do it. Our niche is like the backyard stuff. Like we'll go in and we'll blow out a small backyard, expand it, haul in all the fill, do the dozer work, stump removal with our own cans, hydroseed it, full service. Homeowner doesn't have to be a GC and hire 6 different contractors to do one job. Like we do very well with it. And we're efficient at it. So like we took on a couple bigger jobs and it was like, we were just doing it with a machine that didn't make sense to us. And it sat a lot. We couldn't use it on some of our smaller residential projects where we want to have like a backyard assassin. We call it a bigger mini that's very capable with just a Swiss Army knife of attachments. So I ended up, long story short, to get to the point of why we have the 315, that was why that machine did not serve its purpose the way that we wanted it. And it just sat a lot. And I got a hair across my ass one day and I was just like, you know what? Like we have some bigger projects this year. We're, phase 2 on the golf course project that we've been working on for a couple of years out in the eastern part of Connecticut. Still other phases to go on that. So I'm looking at it and I'm like, our 310's out there. That's got a rotator on it. Good size machine. I was trying to get really creative on how to get rid of it and get into this 315. I was like, I'll just get rid of the 310 and the Sany. Long story short, we were upside down in the Sany. Like there's no resale value. The comps at like auctions were like 50 grand, 60 grand, top 70. Like, and I paid 120 for the machine. Yeah. Which still wasn't that bad for a 55,000 pound machine. But we just bit the bullet and Cat got me out of it. And I looked at a couple other brands too. And it didn't make sense to switch with 9 machines in one color and 1 phone call for service to go to somebody else. Right. I'm just not a believer in having a million different machines. And we've got some used Cats. Like we bought a used roller from the auction this year, Cat, which works great. Just used it today on a little project for one of our guys. And it's, I was like, if we're going to do this, we're going to set this thing up like a weapon. And we got a couple other big projects and we want to get more into some of those bigger residential projects, not big, like just lucrative, I'm not trying to go and, bid against 92 guys to do like a Starbucks, building site. Like I don't have any interest in it. So like some of these backyard projects that are, 20 to 100 grand, that we can do with 2 triaxles that we own, our dozer, a couple skid loaders, whatever it may be. So this machine was perfect because we could still move it on a tag trailer that we own. We did order a new tag trailer just because we have 2 triaxles, 2 bigger machines that need to go on bigger trailers. So I did order a new Globe trailer. Well, that's coming in July. So that'll be another like equipment review video that we drop, which will be cool to plug that YouTube video real quick. I just think like it was a little nerve wracking purchasing it. It's our biggest purchase yet. Steel wrist adds a lot to it. We did a new XTR20, which is brand new 3rd generation tilt rotator, triple sealed grease fittings, like from the factory, like a lot of new improvements. Yeah, I mean, we've had it on a few jobs so far already, and it's been moving. It's been very, very instrumental to some of these jobs, in and out quick. We could still move it ourselves. So there's been a lot of positives to it. I got my back up against the wall with it, full transparency. Like, it costs a
Yeah.
lot of money, and, I didn't write a check for it. We financed it. The company can support it, but it drives me to work and go out and get the jobs and fight for the jobs and win the jobs ultimately and keep it working, keep it moving. Yeah, I mean, that's the gist of it. I'm happy and proud to own it. And it's a little nerve wracking, it's a bigger
Yeah.
machine. And, we looked at some used stuff and it didn't make sense for us, cause we didn't have a check to write, for a couple-year-old machine. And I'm not really a fan of buying other people's problems. So
Yeah.
I don't know.
All right, you dirtbags, we have officially, finally, a new sponsor. I know we've been talking about them here and there before, but it hadn't been done until now. We are finally officially welcoming in Sledgehammer into the Dirtbags community as an official sponsor and supporter of the podcast. So this episode is sponsored by Sledgehammer, where science meets sustainability. At Sledgehammer, they're not just treating wastewater, they're transforming it by introducing cutting edge microbiology into conventional septic systems. Sledgehammer is making waves in the world of environmental engineering. Their secret? It's not high tech hardware, it's smart biology. The Sledgehammer blend, trademarked, is a powerful proprietary mix of naturally occurring bacteria that supercharges your existing septic system, turning it into one of the most effective and eco-friendly wastewater treatment systems on the planet. Sledgehammer systems are also NSF 40 certified for single-family engineered designs and rigorously tested to the IAPMO IGC 180-2003 standard for both proactive and rejuvenation applications. They're also listed under the Uniform Plumbing Code, the UPC, giving you confidence in quality, safety, and compliance. It's clean, it's efficient, and best of all, it's sustainable. No chemicals, no overhauls, just a smarter way to protect our water and preserve our planet. What I love most about Sledgehammer, not only are they taking care of the planet and taking care of the contractors and these septic systems, but Will Stoddard, he is making septic sexy. So if you've ever talked to Will, he is the man, and he's got enough energy for the whole world to go around. But what they are doing is truly transformative in the industry. So I definitely recommend checking them out. Sledgehammer.net. That is their website. And you can also follow them on Instagram. So go give them a shout. Go give them a follow. Sledgehammer Group LTD on Instagram or sledgehammer.net. All right. This episode of the Dirtbags podcast is brought to you by Eljen Corporation, a pioneer in on-site wastewater treatment and a company built on purpose. You guys have heard me talk about them before, but for over 4 decades, Eljen has been leading the charge in innovative, reliable, and engineer-friendly septic solutions. Their signature GSF system is NSF 40 certified, ASTM tested, and designed to thrive in even the most unpredictable soil conditions and tight lots. With its multi-stage filtration process, smaller footprint, and lower maintenance, it's become the trusted go-to for contractors who want performance they can count on. But that's the boring technical stuff. What really makes Eljen stand out is their heart for people, and especially our veterans. They've made it a priority to hire and support U.S. veterans, helping them transition from the military to meaningful careers in the trades. It's not just about systems, it's about service. Whether you're a contractor, an engineer, or a supplier looking to elevate your installs, Eljen brings you innovation, integrity, and impact all in one system. Learn more at eljen.com, but even better, follow them on Instagram at Eljen Corporation. That's ELJEN Corporation, to see install tips, to see kind of what they're doing in the industry, and also maybe some live dirtbag episodes in there. So they're very, very involved with the dirtbags. We appreciate them a ton. Give them a shout out, and of course, if you ever want an Eljen High Vis T-shirt, let me know because I got about 50 and those mints and some tumblers. So let me know if you ever want anything. I would be happy to send you something. So go give them a shout at Eljen Corporation on Instagram. Let's get back to the show with James Doyle. Right. Yeah, no, I always love how transparent you are with these. And it really helps our listeners to understand kind of what goes on in business if they haven't been there yet.
Yeah.
When you mentioned with the Sani and Cat took care of it, was that just like a trade in? They traded in, gave you
Yeah,
the
so
credit?
we did a trade in. We had a lot of negative equity, meaning
Right.
most business owners will understand that. We had negative equity on it. Our cost to finance wasn't that high, actually, which I was surprised. And we had put money down on it and made our payments on time. We only owned it for a short 6 months, but basically what Cat was going to give us for it, we still owed about 40 grand more, so they were able to, Cat Financial is the largest lender in the world, next to, American Express, whatever, they're one of the largest reporting financial agencies in the world. So like if you miss a payment with them, it's pretty, it affects you pretty good. But when you pay your bills on time with them for a long time, it helps your credit really well too, business and personal, if you're a personal guarantor. So like we've done very, very well, and like our credit rating shows, but they wouldn't finance me a hot dog my first year for perspective, right? Like they wanted, and my Cat salesman helped me with this. Like they helped me with work on hand, like an actual spreadsheet. Like I had to show what was in the bank, 10% down, taxes down. Like, dude, it was the whole 9 yards, like now we've built a rapport, and like, they're like, all right, this guy's, they make sure that they can pay their bills, and there's tough months, man, but we do it. We make it happen. It's tough. Crystal sometimes can't sleep at night, but I just remind her like, hey, all this is coming through the funnel. Like we're fine, relax. And then it's like, we're good. But anyways, just full transparency, because I like to let people know that it's not an endless funnel of money here.
Which is so important, because I know in your last 2 episodes also, and you mentioned no handouts, and that was literally the title of your last episode you did with us. And then diving into the business struggles, like you've always been willing to share that. I guess what I would want to ask you next, and I know you get tons of DMs and people asking you questions, which is so great. I want to ask you, like for anyone listening, to have that opportunity of like, what would you tell maybe them, or what would you tell yourself as a piece of advice? Let's say they're a couple years in business and they're looking at innovative and they want to be where you're at. Just some transparent, honest advice, maybe something that can help them and something that they can watch out for in their business journey.
Yeah. Super unprepared for that, but
hey, that's what I do.
Yeah, I mean, the one thing that I've always told people is just do what you say and say what you do. People can say what they want in business and life, both professionally and personally. And it's like, I've always been a firm believer that, just with technology and the way marketing goes nowadays, and Google and Facebook town chatter pages, like if you don't do what you say you're going to do in business, that doesn't work.
Yeah.
It doesn't work. Like you have to, and I stress this to Crystal so much, the timeliness of the delivery of that handwritten letter after we have completed a job is like so imperative to the process and the client experience when they work with us, whether it's a developer or business or resident, it doesn't matter. But like you have to deliver on expectations. Like we won't go broke. Like some people just, you can't make happy, but like we will go to the end of the world to make sure that people are happy when they work with us, because I don't care if they go and say, well, the guy charged me a lot of money. I want them to be like, you know what? The guy charged me a lot of money, but there was not one thing we could complain about with the actual job being wrong. It's when the guy charged me a lot of money, there was people with cut off sleeves, smoking cigarettes. They had beers because it was 3:00 on Friday and they didn't show back up because they said they had another job to go to. And that job was more important. And like, they said they were going to be done in 2 weeks. And here we are in 4 weeks. And it's just like, I don't know. That's just a big thing. Like, do what you say you're going to do and just do whatever you have to do it. Don't worry about if it's going to cost you $1,500 to do it faster. If that client expects it, you are going to make that $1,500 back so fast, you won't even remember that it cost you $1,500 on that job 36 jobs ago to do it, because you know what I mean? And that's what's worked for me. That's what's worked for us. Some of my guys probably at points in times think that I'm crazy doing the things that I do to meet expectations of clients, but that's what it takes to, and I wish we had way more reviews. I'm terrible
Sure.
at getting reviews on Google and Facebook, like really telling people to do it and getting them to do it. But the 100 and something ones that we do have on there, whatever that number is between the platforms, those are all real, like genuine people that are super happy with the service that they've done. And like, I vet people all the time and I ask them like, hey, how did you hear about us? What made you go with us? That's a part of the sales process of me being more dialed into the sales. The website's great. I saw the reviews. I saw the scope of work that you do throughout the different service tabs on your website. So-and-so recommended you. I was going through some of the photos and, again, reviews that some so-and-so had posted. And I realized that I know that person. Blah. So it's just like, just really focusing on all that stuff. I think just some things to avoid, like the second part of the question, to avoid and watch out for, just high cost to finance. If you're starting a business now or you're a couple years in, some people grow at the speed of cash, which is great. I've heard that a lot. And some people finance, like I finance a lot of stuff. And I believe in good debt. I believe that, you can leverage debt to really make you a lot more money than what it's costing you. And it's worked very well for us. We're at the point right now where we want to get back to a more comfortable spot, but we're in that next hurdle of a break point in business to where we have to invest, and we just don't have the 6-figure cash flow to just write a check and still run our operating costs that month, with maybe a big purchase like the 315 to like buy that purchase, right, plus still run all of our operating costs, so just be really smart with cost of finance. Like a lot of our stuff is really, really, really low % interest rate. And we have a couple used things, like our chipper was high, but like when it works, it makes really good money. It's not working every single day, but it makes really good money. But I've made a couple bad decisions with just high cost of finance. A lot of early payment penalties. So like if you get a good job and you want to pay something off quick, like you actually have to pay them the finance fees before you can pay it off. Like just some of those things that you have to be really conscientious of, and just watch who you work with. I've really learned over the last 2 years that a client is a prospect is looking at you to see if you're a good fit for them. You have to flip that. You have to look to see if you're a good fit or if they're a good fit for you and what your ideal client is. And I can't even say that I really know who our ideal client is, but I was on a job the other day and this client, I'm standing in the pouring rain out of nowhere. It was like a lake effect snow shower that came up as a rainstorm, like a lake effect rainstorm that just started downpouring. No chance for rain. And we're hydro seeding a job. And I'm standing up on top of the turret, like spraying. And this client is running out of her front porch and picking up our tools and putting them underneath her covered front porch in the pouring rain. Like those are the people that I want to work for, that care about us. Heck that only wanted to hire us. They care about us for the value. You know what I mean? So just that's like the last thing that I would say about that, to like watch out for. Just there's some people that you just don't want to work for, man. You're one of 7 bids for a $1,500 job. And if you're $1,400, like they're going to go with you. If everybody else is $1,500, like it's just not worth it. That's my 2 cents on that.
Yeah, man. And I think, and if I may, I think it ties in so perfectly with what the theme of this episode has been, of grow at the speed of people. That doesn't just mean your team members. That means your clients as well. And wow. I think of that in my own business at Phaser, of like very similar. It's, I would rather grow so much slower just to make sure that it's the right company coming in. And, unfortunately, you and I both had bad clients, and like the amount of negativity that comes from that, and how just far it sets you back. Yeah. It weighs you down. It weighs your team down. So if we take one thing from this, the grow at the speed of people, it's not just your team members, but it's also your clients. So I love that, man. And before we finish up, we got to hear a couple book recommendations. So this has been one of our favorite segments we do. Obviously, I know you've been reading since you've been doing 75 Hard. Give us a couple good book recommendations for the listeners, and then we'll wrap up here with that.
Yeah. So I'm on right now. I'm on 100 Million Leads, Alex Hormozy. Yeah. It's a little bit more up my alley. You got it on the shelf somewhere?
I think it's in my bookshelf right here.
So it's that's a good one. It's a little bit more up my speed. I'll be honest with you, I'm not the best reader, so that's like one of my biggest struggles is drinking a gallon of water, especially in like the off season in the wintertime, and reading. So that one's a little bit more up my alley. It's got pictures in it. It's got some snapshots. It's
Big words.
yeah, I jumped. I went to 100 million leads first. There's another one before that I didn't realize. I actually have it too, but I read that one first, and it keeps saying that it's the second book in the series. So I got to kind of go backwards and read the other one. Do you know what the other one is?
$100 million offer.
Offer. Okay. Yeah. So I went to leads first by accident.
Yeah. I mean, it's still super relevant, but
yeah, it's very informative on a lot of different things. And like there's a couple key takeaways, just like some of your warm, like outreaches, things like that. Touching clients that are, within your circle that you already have, like email lists, things that people were already in touch with. There's tons of good takeaways that, I just talked to Crystal about one the other day that we're going to start doing. So there's a bunch of good things that I've gotten out of there. And then it's another one I did, The Economy of Leadership. I read Jocko, and then another leadership strategies and tactics of leadership or something like that. It's a part of the Jocko series. Read all his books now in that series. It's like a tactical guide to leadership or something like that. I don't know. I don't remember the exact title. Read that one, and then I read recently Sell or Be Sold by Grant Cardone. I picked that up at the 10X Growth Conference. That was a really good book. Really good book. There was just tons of, a lot of like key takeaways from like real estate and, just some other things. It was just very, very informative on sales processes and like how to really like not be over the top with selling, but really, really be intentional. And that I thought it was very fitting just with the role that I've kind of, what's the word I'm looking for? Promoted myself to. Promoted myself to not doing everybody else's jobs. Getting back to the delegation, like delegating more, promoting myself to just doing my job with the sales and like jumping in when I have to. I think it's well received by them, and just doing more of the sales. So that Sell or Be Sold was a good book by Cardone. Not a huge Cardone fan, but just some of the books are good, I've heard, and that was a good recommended one. So yeah, Sell or Be Sold, $100 million leads by Hermosi, and a lot of the Jocko books. Read all of them. I mean, they're phenomenal.
Yeah.
A lot of references to like the Navy SEALs and the service stuff, and there's just so many different levels and pyramids to the leadership scale in there that's just really relevant to business and just different accountability portions of your life. So yeah.
Yeah. He helps take out all excuses. Jocko does. And that's why I love his books and his podcast, and just what he does is a lot of it's on you. And that's what we talked about earlier of like you as the owner are the problem, but you're also the solution. Right. I would have one book I want to throw in. I don't think I've talked about it yet, but Good to Great by should be Jim Collins. And he's so good. And it's for people listening that haven't read it yet. The little, it's
got the red cover, right?
Yep. The red cover. And it says why
go ahead. Sorry.
Yeah, I was going to say, it says why some companies make the leap and others don't. And really quick cliff notes is basically, there's a lot of good companies out there and good entrepreneurs and good leaders, but like what makes the ones great and how do you make that leap to great? So I can't recommend it enough. It's a pretty easy read. I actually listened to it. And then, I just as we're doing 75 Hard, it was a pretty good book to listen to. So definitely recommend that one.
That was the other one that I read as well. So my client, my client from the golf course job recommended me that. I ordered the wrong one. There's actually a second version of it.
Really?
Yeah, there's a second version of it, and I ordered it, and I sent him a picture. I was like, "This isn't." He goes, "Oh, you got the wrong one. That's not the right version." I'm like, "All right." I forget what it was. Yeah, I'll send you the picture of the photo, the cover. There's a different version, but I got the right one. But yeah, no, that was a killer book. It's good.
Heck yeah. So as we wrap up here, thank you everyone that's still listening. Obviously we've had James on. This is his third time. Excited to keep it going. As the years come, we're not we're not closing up shop anytime soon. So it'll be fun to just keep this recurring dirtbag theme going. Go give James a follow at Innovative Lawn and Landscape LLC. If you've listened this far in the episode, shoot him a message, tag him on Instagram that you're listening. And then of course at Mr. Innovative, you can find him on there. And then huge thank you again, to our sponsors, Eljen, Sledgehammer, and Charlie Huff. We put their ad reads in throughout the episode, so a little bit different. We wanted to do that for you guys to make the listen a little bit easier and a little bit more free flowing. So just thank you guys so much for sponsoring the show. And then thank you, the listeners, for reaching out to them. They tell me every single time one of you guys texts them or reaches out to them, and they're with us for this journey for the long haul. And so they're excited to see the growth. They were on Dirtbags University. Like, they're going to keep investing into this show and into you guys to make sure that we have the resources it takes to keep this thing growing. So huge thank you to you guys. And then obviously, finally, James, thank you a ton for everything. Thank you for being such a great friend, a great client, a great leader, but also being on the show today for your third time, and just being transparent, giving everything you have here, and enjoying this beautiful day.
Yeah, man. No, appreciate it. Likewise, appreciate everything. And definitely just a quick plug, the YouTube stuff. We're going to be doing that. You'll be able to find this not only on Luke's platform, but we're going to do the video series on, he's going to get us a copy, Brandon will get that over to us, and we'll throw it up on our channel. And we got a couple cool, sit down round table talk style interviews that we're shooting this month. So just keep an eye out for that. And I'm sure Luke's going to have a bunch of new stuff coming out too. So it'd be cool to keep it all tied together. So super excited.
Heck yeah. Go like and subscribe to that channel. You'll find it, I believe, Innovative Lawn and Landscape. Just search on YouTube. Make sure you subscribe so you get the notifications, and then keep following along from there. So, James, with that, we'll see you on the next one, and excited to get the fourth one planned here.
Yeah, man.
All right, appreciate it. Appreciate it. We'll talk soon.
Yes, sir.